Sonic the Hedgehog was Sega's bold answer to Nintendo's dominance in the early 90s. At the time, Mario was the undisputed king of platformers. Sega wanted a mascot who could stand toe-to-toe with Mario, but feel fresher, faster, and cooler. Their solution was Sonic, a blue hedgehog with spiky hair, sneakers, and an attitude. Unlike Mario, Sonic wasn't just cute. He had a personality, tapping his foot impatiently if you didn't move, smirking in idle animations, radiating impatience and energy. His gameplay mirrored that philosophy. Speed and momentum were the focus. Players could tear through slopes and loop-de-loops in ways no other platformer offered. Sega marketed this difference aggressively. They touted blast processing, ran commercials pitting Sonic directly against Mario, and positioned him as the radical, edgy alternative to Nintendo's more traditional mascot. But what really made Sonic stand out wasn't just style. It was that the game itself was among the best platformers of 1991, while most of its competitors fell flat. The game opens with Green Hill Zone Act 1. At first glance, it seems straightforward. Hold right, run fast, reach the goal. And yes, that works. But slow down and explore, and the level opens up. Springs hidden inside palm trees, monitors with extra rings, platforms with alternative routes. Right away, the game sets a tone. You can play as fast and simple, or you can experiment and discover rewards. This duality distinguished Sonic from Mario. The early Super Mario Bros. Games were mostly linear. Exploration rarely changed much. Sonic, however, gave players choice. Straightforward play, run fast, reach the end. Experimental play, explore the terrain, use slopes and physics, and unlock secrets. The game teaches these lessons through design. Run blindly and you'll smack into the first motobug with no rings to protect you. Slow down, collect rings, and you're safe. Sonic also doesn't start at top speed. He builds momentum. Rolling into a ball downhill makes him faster. Physics matter, and the player quickly realizes that mastery of momentum and terrain is the real key to speed. Another key design idea, multiple paths. Staying on the upper path rewards skills, and speed with smoother runs. Falling to the lower path slows you down with hazards and platforming challenges. This upper versus lower path system became a defining feature of the Sonic franchise. Green Hill Zone also makes clever use of slopes. They're not only for speed, they also foreshadow danger. A slope often precedes an enemy or hazard, warning the player to stay alert. Again, the game's balance freedom with risk. You can speed ahead, but you can't just hold right to win. Momentum isn't only about going fast, it's also a tool for exploration. For example, in Green Hill Zone Act 2, players encounter a loop-de-loop. The straightforward path is to simply run through it, but observant players notice a power-up box placed on top of the loop. Reaching it requires experimenting, maybe using a speed shoes power-up hidden in a palm tree to build enough momentum to vault it on top, or maybe timing a jump from an elevator platform to roll down a slope and spring upward. This is the brilliance of early Sonic. Levels reward experimentation, not just reflexes. Act 1 keeps things simple, teaching the basics. Act 2 raises the stakes, encouraging players to use momentum creatively to uncover hidden paths and rewards. Unfortunately, this philosophy doesn't carry consistently through the whole game. Zones like Marble Zone, Spring Yard Zone, Labyrinth Zone, and Scrap Brain Zone slow things down dramatically. They emphasize careful linear platforming and hazard dodging rather than speed or momentum. Marble Zone often forces players to wait on moving platforms or lava blocks. One section allows experimentation, but most require patience, not skill. Labyrinth Zone is the worst offender, underwater stages where Sonic moves sluggishly, can't swim, and must wait for hazards to clear. The design completely ignores the speed and momentum that define Sonic. This inconsistency is why Sonic 1 often gets criticized. Sega, nervous about making a game too different from other platformers, held back. Instead of fully embracing Sonic's unique mechanics, they filled much of the game with conventional, slow-paced levels. Thankfully, zones like Starlight Zone remind players of what Sonic can be. Fast, experimental, rewarding, but sadly these zones are the exception, not the rule. Boss battles against Dr. Robotnik, Eggman add variety. even if they aren't perfect. Each fight asks the player to think, not just attack blindly. For example, in Starlight Zone, players can use spike balls to damage Robotnik. In Green Hill Zone, quick players or those who found the hidden invincibility power-up can end the fight fast. The downside is pacing. Many bosses force players to wait for narrow attack windows. Once you've mastered them, the fight can feel tedious rather than exciting. Still, for Sega's first Sonic game, these boss designs were a solid start. The story is simple but effective. Sonic battles Robotnik, who is turning animals into robots and threatening his world. What stands out isn't the plot itself, but how the game communicates it through visuals. Level progresses from nature environments like Green Hill Zone to industrial nightmares like Scrap Brain Zone. This visual shift reflects Robotnik's growing influence, giving the game a sense of escalating stakes. Compared to Mario, Sonic's world feels a little more alive, with themes and personality that extend beyond the basic Save the Princess. The graphics are gorgeous for 1991. Bright colors, lush pixel art, and memorable backgrounds give Sonic's world charm and energy. While later games would outdo it, this debut set a strong foundation. The soundtrack is equally strong. Composed with a cinematic feel, the music supports each level's tone. Green Hill Zone's upbeat melody is iconic, while slower tracks fit the pacing of zones like Labyrinth. Some songs may lack the pop of later Sonic music, but overall the soundtrack enhances the game's atmosphere brilliantly. Sonic 1 introduced special stages, where collecting 50 rings and reaching the goal unlocked a giant ring that transported you to a rotating maze to collect Chaos Emeralds. Collect them all for the good ending. Fail and Robotnik gloats over the emeralds. In theory, this system adds replay value. In practice, it's frustrating. Many stages slow Sonic down so much that keeping 50 rings intact feels nearly impossible. The special stages themselves, with the screen rotating unpredictably, often feel more like luck than skill. Later Sonic games, Sonic 3 and Knuckles especially, refine this formula much better. Sonic the Hedgehog is a landmark game. It gave Sega a mascot, introduced speed and momentum as a core platforming mechanics, and carved out an identity that set Sonic apart from Mario. Green Hill Zone and Starlight Zone show how brilliant Sonic's design philosophy could be when fully embraced. But the game lacks confidence in its own strengths. Too many zones slow things down, undermining the physics-based gameplay that makes Sonic special. The result is a game that's good, sometimes even great, but inconsistent. If you want to experience it today, the best option is the mobile port by Christian Whitehead, which adds characters like Tails and Knuckles, bonus content and save files. Or if you prefer the Sonic Origins collection, also offers a modern way to play. In short, Sonic 1 isn't perfect, but it laid the groundwork for one of gaming's most iconic franchises. The sequels would refine and expand on its ideas. This is where the legend began.